Hey, my dear pirates. In today's video, we're going to talk about the entire story of One Piece, from the beginning there in East Blue to the current moment of the manga where we practically finished the Wano arc. But not only that, after this epic journey, let's try to imagine what Luffy's destiny will be and how his final journey will take him to meet new allies, new powers, and of course, new enemies. Could it be that now that Kaido and Big Mom are no longer Luffy and the free world's greatest enemies, are the Marine and the world government, Insama, and Blackbeard Luffy's ultimate enemies? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in today's video, but first of all, if you want to be a pirate king like me and achieve eternal glory, go ahead and press the like button with all the power of your Akuma no Mi, and if you're new here, my dear sailor, already subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to activate the notifications bell so you don't miss any new video here from Anime JoyBoy, okay? Now join this crew that will dominate the entire Grand Line in the new world. Now without further ado, let's get to this epic video. And well, my dear pirate, before trying to imagine what Luffy's journey will be from now on, we first have to recap his journey so far. I'm going to do this so that later, when we talk about the future and events that may occur after Wano, it will be clearer for you, right? So rest assured that our journey is just the beginning. East Blue. It was here that we met Monkey D. Luffy, the protagonist of One Piece, who at age 7 already wanted to go out to find One Piece, considered the greatest treasure of all time left by Gold D. Roger, in theory the greatest pirate in history. After eating by accident a devil fruit called the rubber fruit, Luffy gains the abilities that characterize him as a pirate that stretches, as so many people say on social media. It came at a price, however. After all, the devil fruit had been found by the gang of Shanks the Red, who needed to save young Luffy from a Sea King and ended up losing his own arm. When saying goodbye to Luffy, Shank gives the boy his own straw hat, stating that one day they would meet again. 10 years after that encounter, Luffy leaves his own village in search of adventures to become the Pirate King. It was in this saga that we meet some of Luffy's companions, such as the thief Nami, who had to be saved from Arlong's crutches, the samurai Zoro, who would be executed but was saved by Luffy and became his most loyal squire and right-hand man, Sanji, the womanizing cook, and Usopp, the bravest liar and coward we'd ever met. All would go on to become beloved by fans all over the world. Alabasta. Leaving for Alabasta, it doesn't take long for the Straw Hat crew to understand why the Grand Line is called the Pirate Graveyard. Sudden extreme weather phenomena and sea monsters make life difficult for those who venture there. Arriving at the first island, they meet Nefertari Vivi, princess of a kingdom called Alabasta, whose father, King Cobra, no longer has the support of the local population. People accuse him of stealing the rain, and for that reason there would be so much poverty. It turns out this was all engineered by Crocodile, a member of a Navy-affiliated organization called the Seven Corsairs. Crocodile specifically is the leader of Baroque Works, whose goal is to dominate the kingdom of Alabasta, a place that hides a secret supposedly capable of changing the world. Baroque Works is made up of couples, with men being a number and women a date. Vivi came to live among them for more information about the members and discover the organization's goals. Wanting to save herself, she asks Luffy for help. On the way to Alabasta, the gang passes by other important places such as Little Garden Island, where they meet two friends of the giant race who are fighting over a reason they've forgotten, and the Kingdom of Drum, where they stop to treat Nami's illness and meet Tony Chopper, who becomes a ship's doctor for Luffy's crew. When the group arrives in Alabasta, the situation is chaotic. The country was facing a civil war in which Koza, Vivi's childhood friend, fought to overthrow the king without knowing he was being tricked. At one point, Luffy and the others defeat the members of Baroque Works and Crocodile to the sound of rain not felt for a long time by the local population. Luffy's head is worth 100 million, and Zoro also becomes wanted, reaching 60 million. Vivi decides to stay in the kingdom instead of leaving with Luffy's pack, but promises that she will be friends with those people who helped her. Skypia. The Straw Hat crew had barely sailed again when they encountered an intruder on the ship, Nico Robin, Crocodile's old partner at Baroque Works. Leaving the past in the past, they allow her to join the group. On their way to an island, the group discovers something very unusual, the existence of an island in the sky. Some modifications to the boat are made. Luffy's group meets Bellamy the Hyena, as well as Marshall D. Teach, known as Blackbeard, and they set off in search of the island called Skypia. There they meet the inhabitants of heaven, who greatly resemble angels, and discover that Enel is the ruler of the region, a being called God with a tyrannical army. Part of the pack is kidnapped by Enel and placed in the upper yard, the only part of Skypia with land. Luffy goes after the others, going through trials with the priests of Enel in a game of survival. Being the hero that he is, Luffy not only does everything he needed to, he even takes on Enel and defeats him. It is in this arc that the journey really begins. Many find it slow and dragged on. Many say that it is the worst arc of One Piece, but I totally disagree. It is from here that One Piece really starts to get a more serious face when addressing deep issues. Water 7 and Enies Lobby. This is for many the best arc of all. After encountering a Marine admiral known as Aokiji, the Straw Hats have a hard time. They even manage to escape and reach the town of Water 7. There, Luffy looks for a person who can fix the Going Merry, but finds that the boat will no longer be able to sail after all it's been through. The money they would use to buy a new vessel is stolen by Frankie, a carpenter who scrapped ships. Usopp, who is very attached to Merry, fights with Luffy and ends up being defeated. He then decides to leave the group. During a very serious crisis, the group still faces a new problem. Robin is accused of attacking Iceberg, the mayor of Water 7. In fact, she had been threatened by members of CP9, a government organization, and decided to join the group to protect her friends. She goes to the island of Enies Lobby, accompanied by Rob Lucci, leader of CP9, a world government facility known as the Island of Justice. Frankie, who has blueprints for building a powerful weapon, is taken with him as a hostage. Using the sea train, Luffy and the others set out to rescue their companion. Usopp even returns to the group with the nickname Soga King. Arriving in the island's main building, Luffy orders Soga King to burn the world government flag. The pirates declare war on CP9. After complicated battles, the group rescues Robin and escapes on the Going Merry, which appeared at the last minute. After rescuing the companions, Merry is no longer able to navigate. On the high seas, the group holds a funeral for this longtime friend. Returning to the Water 7, the pirates are gifted with a new ship, dubbed the Thousand Sunny, and Frankie joins the crew as the ship's carpenter. Obviously, after they defy the government, everyone gets bounties on their own heads. Luffy's even reaches 300 million berries. Thriller Bark and Saboty Islands. With a new ship, the band arrives at a stretch of sea known as the Florian Triangle, which is misty and uninviting. There, they find an abandoned ship and a living skeleton named Brook, who has eaten the fruit of resurrection. Luffy invites him to join the group and he accepts. The group then set off to a floating island called Thriller Bark, where they set search for the shadow Brook had lost, which prevents him from stepping out into the sunlight. Brook's shadow had been stolen by one of the 7 Corsairs known as Gecko Moria. He plans to create a zombie army and resurrect a race of giant warriors called the Oars. After some members of the Straw Hats lose their shadows, Luffy manages to regain them by defeating Moria. Another Corsair appears at the end of the battle and encounters the Straw Hats. His name is Bartholomew Kuma, but no one knows at first what his character plans to do. He restores Luffy's energy, passing all accumulated fatigue and damage to Zoro. Thus, the group can leave the place without further problems. Brook is invited to the group again and reveals that he has a strong relationship with the whale Laboon. From there, they depart to Saboty, an island that marks the middle of the Grand Line and a place where many important pirates gather. Arriving there, the main characters encounter familiar names such as Eustace Kidd, Killer, Trafalgar Law, Basil Hawkins, Capone Bedge, Jewelry Bonnie, Scratchman Apu, X-Drake, and Arouge, who along with Luffy and Zoro make up a select group of notorious rookies whose heads are worth 100 million berries. These pirates are the biggest promises of the seas and have been labeled as the worst generation. After some time, they meet the mermaid Kami, who is kidnapped and sold to a slave auction. The Straw Hats pack goes after her and encounters a group known as the Celestial Dragons, who claim to be direct descendants of the creators of civilization. In the auction, it is obvious we have a huge mess. Luffy punches one of the Celestial Dragons, and then Kami is saved by Rayleigh, who turns out to be a former first mate of Roger, the former king of the pirates. After the incident with the Celestial Dragons, the Navy is triggered and Admiral Kaizaru arrives on the island, in addition to the cyborgs called pacifistas, or human government weapons similar to Kuma. The Straw Hats barely make it out alive. However, they come face to face with the real Kuma, who sends each of them to a corner of the world. Amazon Lilly, Impel Down, and Marineford. Luffy is sent to an island inhabited only by women, known as the Amazon Lily. The local leader is Boa Hancock, pirate empress known for her beauty and for being one of the 7 Corsairs. Although there is some tension at the beginning, Luffy wins the trust of the island's inhabitants and still discovers that Ace, his brother, was captured and handed over to the Navy by Blackbeard. Ace should die in a few days. Determined to rescue his brother trapped in Impel Down, Luffy leaves with Hancock. Impel Down is made up of several levels where the world's criminals are punished in the cruelest ways possible. Ace is even in the deepest level of the prison. On the way to him, Luffy meets some acquaintances such as Buggy the Clown, Crocodile, and other members of Baroque Works, including Mr. 3, Mr. 2, Mr. 1, and even another former privateer, Jinbei of the Fishman race. With the help of these unlikely allies, Luffy progresses through the prison's levels until he comes across Magellan, the prison warden who poisons Luffy and leaves him on the brink of death. Rescued by Ivankov, one of the leaders of the Revolutionary Army, Luffy survives. In fact, his father, Monkey D. Dragon, is the top leader of the prison's resistance organization. After being treated, Luffy discovers that his brother has already left Impel Down and will be executed soon. Obviously, with the help of the others, he escapes from prison and heads towards the Marine headquarters. Portgas D. Ace is expected to be executed on Marineford Island. There, incidentally, gather the biggest names in the Navy, including Admirals Aokiji, Kaizaru, and Akainu, in addition to Sengoku, the head of the fleet. All the Corsairs are also present, and the performance will be broadcast live around the world. What no one expected was that the pirate Edward Newgate, known as Whitebeard and for being a great rival of Roger, would come to the rescue of a dear subordinate, along with an extremely powerful band. Newgate is one of the Four Emperors, a group that brings together the greatest active pirates. Not only does he have as incredible a reputation as the iconic Shanks, he also possesses the powers of the Earthquake Fruit, capable of causing earthquakes. It is evident that a war would start next. Chaos reigns as Luffy tries to catch up with Ace. At the most unlikely time possible, Sengoku makes a huge revelation. Ace is actually Roger's son. Luffy reaches the scaffold where Ace will be executed and finds Garp, Vice Admiral and great hero of the Navy, who is also his grandfather. Garp even lets Luffy pass, so he catches up to Ace. But Akainu pierces Ace's chest with his own fist, and we see Luffy's brother die in his arms. Newgate is extremely furious and goes all out for the Navy. At the same time, Blackbeard appears with new allies that he made Impel Down to attack him. Newgate, weakened, dies on his feet. Teach and his gang cover the enemy's bodies so they can steal their power. Then, something unprecedented happens. Teach now has the powers of 2 fruits of the devil, something until then considered impossible. The war continues despite the deaths until Kobe, the boy Luffy found there at the beginning of the anime, begs them to stop the conflict. It's only when Shanks arrives at the last moment that this giant event comes to an end. Scattered around the world, members of the Straw Hat crew receive news of the confrontation and a message from Luffy sent through the newspaper. Their meeting wouldn't take place in 3 days. They would meet in 2 years on the Saboty archipelago. That way, everyone would have time to improve their skills until reaching the second half of the Grand Line, known as the New World. Island of Fishman. 2 years after the breakup, the Straw Hat Gang reunites in Saboty. They show the results of their own training by easily defeating the pacifistas. The next stop is Fishman Island, known as the gateway to the New World. There, they are greeted by Kami and Hachan, taking the opportunity to relax before continuing their journey. Obviously, a conflict arises. Hody Jones, a fishman who was born in a poor district of the island and preaches the supremacy of his own race, who has suffered prejudice on the surface for years, intends to overthrow the Neptune government. He allies himself with Vander Decken, who has been chasing Princess Shirahoshi since she was very young. Luffy and the others are invited to the palace, where they would receive a message from Jinbei. Luffy ends up saving Shirahoshi from an attack by Decken, and decides to take her to the palace where her mother, Queen Otohime, who died fighting for equality between the races, is. A great battle takes place in the palace. Hody and Decken attack, but are defeated by the pirates who have allied with the island's princes. At the end of the fight, Luffy, who had lost a lot of blood, receives a transfusion from Jinbei and invites him to join the pack. Luffy and his friends party until they receive word that the island, formerly protected by Whitebeard, was now a territory that served another emperor, Big Mom. He picks a fight with her and puts the territory under her protection. Punk Hazard and Dressrosa. Our pirates are on their way to the island of Punk Hazard, former Navy research site, which was the scene of the confrontation between Aokiji and Akainu. The result of this was that the place was left with 2 completely opposite environments, one taken by ice and the other by fire. Part of the pack ends up coming face to face with a huge dragon, while the others are captured by masked beings and meet Kinemon, a samurai who is looking for a boy named Momonosuke. On the island are still Trafalgar Law, now one of the 7 Corsairs, and Smoker. This unique environment serves as the headquarters of scientist Caesar Clown, who creates artificial devil fruits and researches the gigantification of humans. Along with the Marines and Law, the Straw Hats destroy the laboratory, which used children as test subjects, and rescue Momonosuke. We later learn that Law's plan is to destroy one of the 4 emperors, Kaido, by wiping out his supply of devil fruits. The person responsible for trading these devil fruits with him is Don Quixote Doflamingo, one of the 7 most powerful Corsairs of all. Doflamingo's past is directly related to Law's, as he was the one who took in the young samurai. After killing Law's best friend, Corazon, who was Doflamingo's own brother, Luffy and Law set out together to end Doflamingo's reign, Dressrosa taking Caesar hostage. The kingdom of Dressrosa is inhabited by many living toys who have a good relationship with the rest of the local population. Upon arriving here, Luffy enters the gladiatorial tournament under the codename Lucy, a competition whose prize is the Fruit of Flames previously used by Ace. In the tournament, we meet some more important pirates such as Bartolomeo and Cavendish, members of neighboring kingdoms, bounty hunters, among others. Even the former king of Dressrosa, Riku, who has been dethroned by Doflamingo, is participating. Another important participant is a gladiator named Rebecca, who has a strong friendship with the one-legged soldier and ends up forging a friendship with Luffy. The battles in the blocks are fierce, and the winner of each one advances to the finals. Simultaneously, Law clashes with Doflamingo, who is being aided by the new Marine Admiral Fujitora on a nearby island. At first, they intended to use Caesar Clown to negotiate with Doflamingo while Frankie would locate the Smile Factory, the artificial fruit. Obviously, the negotiation fails and Doflamingo has to go after Momonosuke, who is in the Sunny along with some members of the Straw Hats. Desperate to escape, they head to Zao, where the Law's pack members are. We return to follow Usopp and Robin, who find the people of Tontada. They want to dethrone the current king by destroying the Smile Factory and rescuing the princess, who was eventually kidnapped. As they have the same objective, the groups form an alliance and go to the factory where many of the kingdom's toys work. They discover that these toys are actually people who were transformed by Sugar, Doflamingo's ally, causing everyone to forget who they really were. The Tontada then decide to defeat Sugar so that everyone in the kingdom becomes human again and remembers the injustice committed against King Riku, manipulated by Doflamingo. Usopp accidentally makes Sugar pass out and all the toys go back to normal, including the soldier who was actually Cryos, legendary gladiator and Rebecca's father. Meanwhile, back at the Colosseum, they reach the finals. Luffy learns of Law's defeat and leaves the competition. In his place enters an old childhood acquaintance, Sabo, who he thought was dead. Sabo had been rescued by the Revolutionary Army and gone to Dressrosa to inherit Ace's powers. In the final battle, he manages to eat the Fruit of Flames. Outside, Kinemon encounters Kanjuro, an important companion. With everyone gathered, the objective becomes to defeat Doflamingo, who uses his own powers to make a cage around the island, which is closed over time. With the help of participants from the Colosseum tournament, Luffy reaches Doflamingo and along with Law defeats him, restoring peace to Dressrosa. Rebecca, who has regained her memory, is reunited with her father, who kept her close even while she was a toy. Riku reverts to being the king of Dressrosa and reveals that Rebecca is his granddaughter. Luffy then leaves for Zao in order to find his comrades again, but not before having that classic confrontation with Fujitora and part of the Marines. The bounty on his head is increased to 500 million berries. Zoe. Surprisingly, Zoe is a giant elephant that roams the seas. On his back lives a race called the Mink, made up of animals of humanoid shape. Jack, one of Kaido's pack members, had recently attacked the place and injured 2 local leaders. The pack evidently assembles to investigate and discovers that Raizo, another Kinemon companion, is on the island. He explains the situation in Wano, Raizo and Kinemon's home country, currently dominated by Kaido. The pirates form an alliance with the Minks and the samurai to free Wano. Luffy then discovers that Sanji was no longer on Zoe because he had been called by Big Mom and had come to her willingly. Willing to retrieve the group's cook, he leaves for Whole Cake Island after solving the Zoe arc. Whole Cake Island. Whole Cake Island is ruled by Charlotte Linlin, known as Big Mom. Her pack is made up of a gigantic family. Her sons and daughters are very powerful and belong to different races because Linlin's dream is to create a nation where all kinds of living beings coexist harmoniously. With that goal in mind, she makes alliances with other nations and organizations through the marriage of her own children. Sanji, who was born into an important family, the Vinsmoke, was asked by her to marry Pudding. They command an extremely technological organization of mercenaries called Germa 66 and intend to ally with Big Mom for prestige. When they arrive on the island, the members of the Straw Hat crew find entire towns made of candy, Big Mom's favorite dish. They then begin a desperate search for Sanji, wanting to stop his marriage. In the process, of course, they fight with many of Big Mom's sons and daughters. Luffy even finds Sanji, but is attacked by the cook, who has decided to join Big Mom's pack. Luffy doesn't believe Sanji's words, who in fact only agreed to the marriage because his biological father, Judge, threatened his foster father, Zeph, with death. With the right to a huge cake, the wedding party would be attended by authorities from the underworld. Luffy even discovers that Capone, married to one of Big Mom's daughters, intends to ruin the party and murder Big Mom. The two begin working together on a plan as Brook enters the palace to steal a copy of one of the poneglyphs that will guide the journey to the final island. The plan is to make Big Mom stunned for a few seconds so that she is vulnerable to attacks. As the party begins, Luffy and his allies emerge from the cake, incurring the wrath of Linlin, who loses control and sets out to destroy everything. Katakuri, Big Mom's most powerful son, faces Luffy while the other Straw Hats head for Sunny. Simultaneously, Sanji and Pudding bake a new cake to try to calm Linlin down. In the end, everyone manages to escape thanks to the efforts of Pedro, a mink who sacrifices himself so that they can proceed, and Jinbei, Big Mom's former ally, who keeps her subordinates busy so that Sunny can continue on to Wano with Sanji back in the crew. The bounty for Luffy reaches 1.5 billion berries. Wano. As the main characters depart from Whole Cake to Wano, the Daydream takes place, a meeting of leaders from around the world that takes place every 4 years. It is decided that the 7 Corsair system will be abolished, which leads to the end of protection from powerful pirates. Shortly thereafter, news comes that there has been an incident involving members of the Revolutionary Army led by Sabo. Home to the Great Samurai, Wano is a country isolated from the world. Previously, it was ruled by the Kozuki clan, deposed by Kurozumi Orochi with the help of Kaido. At present, it is a place full of weapons factories where the population suffers from a lack of basic resources. In the past, Kozuki Oden, son of the shogun at the time and heir to the throne, had gone on a trip around the world with Whitebeard's band and later with Rogers, recording his trip to the last island, Laugh-Tale. Upon returning home, Oden sees that Wano has been overpowered by Orochi and Kaido. He even tries to save the country, but to no avail. Oden leaves his legacy of fighting with his son, Momonosuke, and his powerful companions, the Red Scabbards, who were sent to the future with the power of his wife Toki. Among the time travelers, in addition to Momonosuke, still very young, were Kinemon, Kanjuro, and Raizo. Their goal in the future is to gather allies to defeat Kaido and open the borders of Wano. Upon arriving in the country, Luffy meets Otama, who is suffering from a lack of food. He tries to help her, gets Kaido's attention, and ends up being defeated by the Emperor, ending up in prison. There, Luffy meets Eustace Kid, who had been betrayed by former alliance mates Hawkins and Apu, both of whom went on to serve Kaido along with Drake. After a rebellion with the help of a great leader from the past and surprisingly amnesiac Big Mom, who went to Wano after Luffy, everyone flees. Law and other members of Straw Hat's pirates who had already infiltrated the country continued with the plan to defeat Kaido. Zoro meets Toneyasu, an always smiling man who helps the entire population. It is later discovered that he was an influential past boss. When, through an undercover agent, Kaido finds out about Kinemon's plan to retake the country, Toneyasu assumes to be the leader of this enterprise to protect the true leaders and is executed in the public square to serve as an example to the rebels. Recovered from memory loss, Big Mom meets with Kaido. They intend to use Wano as a base to increase their war power and go after One Piece. For this, Kaido wants to place his headquarters, the island of Onigashima, in the place where the country's capital is. To prevent such madness, the Red Scabbards intend to attack Onigashima during the Festival of Fire, an important date in Wano. Obtaining some ships and men, Kinemon and his companions depart for Onigashima, only to discover that Kanjuro has betrayed them and delivered precious information to Orochi, thwarting the plans. Kanjuro then kidnaps Momonosuke and takes him to Onigashima. Against all odds, the Red Scabbards, allied with Luffy, Law, and Kid's band, head to Onigashima to stop Kaido's plans. With everyone's help and Jinbei's triumphant entry into the Straw Hats band, the invasion of Onigashima begins and the clash will soon begin. Luffy, now with the perfect mastery of his haki after having trained with Hyogoro, along with the power of his devil fruit that we discovered is actually of another model, Nika, Luffy finally manages to defeat Kaido and Big Mom, and now Wano is free. After this huge feat, Luffy and the Straw Hats, as well as some of their allies, had their bounties increased to levels never seen before, making Luffy and Buggy the new emperors in place of Big Mom and Kaido. And basically, that's the whole story of One Piece so far in a nutshell. Future and destination of Luffy, final considerations. As we saw, Luffy's journey so far has had its ups and downs. In many moments, he and his gang did very well, and in other moments, if it wasn't for the help of allies and even some old enemies, he would never have gotten where he is. But now that we are heading towards the final battle, towards the last journey, it is believed that all the questions that Ono left us in the course of the work will be answered from now on. Luffy carries in his fruit and in his personality and ideology freedom. Soon, his destiny, which is Laugh-Tale, will bring beyond the answers we want so much. It will also bring the freedom that Luffy seeks so much, but this last journey will not be easy. Because as much as Kaido and Big Mom have been defeated, we still have the world government and the Navy, in addition to the secret of who Im-sama really is and what his real goals are. We have the pirate who is averse to Luffy, in this case Blackbeard. Both are opposites of each other, and both, not only in their personalities, ideologies, or powers, both will be those who bring change to the world, each in their own way. So the winner will dictate the path that the world must follow, and of course we can't forget about Shanks. In addition to the Lost Country, Insama, and all the rest, Shanks is the character that brings more questions to us One Piece fans. I already talked about what I believe and what Shanks' real plan must be in a past video. I'll leave it in the card pinned up here. Another big mystery is Luffy's mother. After Oda made that connection between Shanks' Red movie and the manga, canonizing the movie, we see a woman holding what we think is a baby Luffy. And as much as I think Oda doesn't want to develop a supposed mother for Luffy, in the end, as I said in the 2 other videos that I'll also leave in the card pinned above, it's possible that Oda is just deceiving us by saying that he doesn't care who Luffy's mother really is, when in fact she will be of great importance to the work, whether she is Imsama or not. After all, we started Luffy's journey without knowing who his mother really is. So will we end his journey without having that information about her? Oda could be setting us up for something epic, exciting, and completely new. So the end of One Piece, Luffy's destiny as the liberator of peoples, the new enemies and allies that will emerge, as well as the new powers that can be awakened from here to the end of the work, may indicate that this final saga of One Piece will be something apotheotic, something already seen before in the history of anime. And I hope you're right about that. There's still a lot to be answered, so I hope Oda takes the time to finish One Piece the way he envisions it. How will Luffy's journey end? But now I want to know what you think, so leave it in the comments. But of course, if you made it this far, it's because you liked the content, so it doesn't hurt to subscribe to our channel and become one more member of our fleet, my dear sailor. And of course, do not forget to press the like button. That helps a lot in spreading the video on the channel, so help us become the largest fleet of pirates here on YouTube, okay? A big hug for everyone, and until the next video.